oversized load. No kidding. These guys hogged the highway for 900 miles, all the way from Arizona where they were constructed. The citizens, civic leaders, and local paparazzi of Ogden, Utah turned out to greet the city's newest and biggest residents, a Triceratops and a Ceratosaurus, on their way to the new George Eccles Dinosaur Park.
This is number 28 and 29 of our park and creatures, and we have 13 more ordered. We don't necessarily want to have more creatures than any park in the world, although I think we're approaching it.
The newcomers joined a Mesozoic menagerie of prehistoric creatures that roamed here millions of years ago.
We certainly want to have the biggest representation of the dinosaurs that were in this area.
Attractions like the George Eccles Dinosaur Park entertain as well as educate about how these creatures looked and behaved. Some parks have recreated elaborate themed environments to transport visitors to lost prehistoric worlds. Museums are being invaded by lively new inhabitants. Animatronic dinosaurs in touring exhibits perform next to the skeletons of their ancestors. An old department store has been recycled into a simulated environment for prehistoric interaction. Who knows? These days you might even encounter a prehistoric at your local shopping mall. The last one died out 60 million years ago, but they're undeniably the biggest celebrities around.
My favorite dinosaur is the Velociraptor, the Pterodactyl, the Apatosaurus, the Dilophosaurus, the Gallimimus.
Dinomaniacs can't get enough of their favorite celebs. If you want to get up close and personal with prehistoric notables from Rexes to Raptors, you don't need a Mesozoic time machine. You can meet the stars of the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous worlds appearing daily at dinosaur parks across the country. We'll show you where to look for them. How do they build a Brachiosaurus? Or program a Protoceratops? You'll discover how craftsmen and engineers recreate dinosaurs, from the claws up, so to speak, for new theme parks and exhibits. Dinosaur destinations are waiting to be explored. T-Rex and his pals left their dinosaur tracks, so let's follow them.
He left his dinosaur tracks. Dinosaur tracks in the ground. Dinosaur tracks in the ground to be found by you and me. He left his dinosaur tracks. Dinosaur tracks in the ground. Dinosaur tracks in the ground to be found by you and me.
Dinosaurs have always been popular with people ever since they've known about dinosaurs back in the 19th century. In fact, we've had actually dinosaur crazes, the biggest of which we're going through right now.
First stop, the museum home of collector, author, and expert Dinosaur Don Glut. If you want to talk dinosaurs, hey, this is your guy.
The public was really first introduced to dinosaurs back in the 1850s. At that time, there were only 3 dinosaurs named, and the scientist who coined the word dinosaur, Sir Richard Owen, commissioned a sculptor named Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins to make a set of life-size dinosaurs, the way they thought they looked back then, for the Crystal Palace Dinosaur Exhibition. These would have been the first dinosaur figures ever made. They consisted of an iguanodon, a megalosaurus, which was the first dinosaur ever named, and Hylaeosaurus, among some other prehistoric creatures.
On New Year's Eve of 1853, a dinner was held inside the unfinished body of the iguanodon. It's rumored that the term party animal was first heard at this event.
In 1854, the first park of life-size dinosaur figures opened to the public. Those figures are still there, still standing to this day, and they're maintained. So if you're in England, you can see these figures. They're not paleontologically accurate, but they were the first attempt to recreate life-size dinosaur figures.
Not paleontologically accurate? Don is a master of the understatement. That horn the iguanodon proudly wears on his nose actually belonged on his hand. Scientists later realized it was the thumb.
Well, maybe now I can hitch a ride out of this stinking swamp.
With more bones to work with, they began to get it right. Fossil hunters out west shipped tons of skeletons to museums, where remains of fantastic creatures were put on display. Crowds gazed up in amazement. The movies brought those old bones to life.
I took my lady to a picture show. The place was shaking right to the back row. 'Cause on the screen they were showing dinosaur movies. These scaly monsters were engaging a fight and smashing cities just to show off their might. They made it big, super starring dinosaur movies. Dinosaur movies. Dinosaur movies. Dinosaur movies.
Taking to the open road led to new experiences like backseat arguments, gas station pit stops, and those famous words, "Are we there yet?" People were surprised to find dinosaurs waiting to meet them.
The origin of the dino fever of the early 1930s was a Sinclair refining company which used dinosaurs in their advertising. They used to say that they had the oldest crudes, and they would show a picture of a dinosaur. Shortly after that, King Kong was released. And shortly after King Kong was released, which had its own menagerie of dinosaurs, there was a 1933 Chicago World's Fair. Now, at the World's Fair, Sinclair had its own dinosaur exhibit, which had a set of life-size dinosaur figures.
But prehistoric cravings could only be satisfied by a new type of attraction, the permanent dinosaur park.
The dinosaur park, essentially a park populated by life-size figures of prehistoric creatures, as a nationwide phenomenon is relatively new. But there were early examples, the first being Dinosaur Park on a hilltop in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Atop what was once called Hangman's Hill, these figures were built during the Depression years of the 1930s by a government-funded agency called the Works Progress Administration, or WPA. The construction of these New Deal dinosaurs provided much-needed jobs during hard times. Some 60 years later, they're still attracting as many visitors. Some from nearby Mount Rushmore.
Bully, George. There's something around here older than we are.
Many dinosaur parks started with one or two creatures out front, attracting curious customers off the road. If you owned a drugstore at the edge of the Dakota Badlands, how would you attract customers? With an 80-foot aspirin bottle or a brontosaurus? The dinosaurs seem to make good business sense. In Wall, South Dakota, east of Rapid City, where this handsome specimen continues to bring them in to the famous Wall drugstore. Meet Dinah, the official greeter of visitors to Vernal, Utah, gateway to America's dinosaur country. Early fossil finds in the area uncovered Diplodocus, Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, and others. At the Natural History State Park on Main Street, you'll see some of those bones on display in the Utah Fieldhouse Museum. Next door, you'll find yourself among recreations of those prehistoric superstars in Dinosaur Gardens. The gardens are home to 14 dinosaurs and prehistoric residents. As visitors move from the back to the front of the garden, they also move forward in time. Dragonflies with wingspans over 2 feet wide, and moskops, kinda cute really, are examples of creatures that lived before the big guys showed up. The inhabitants are placed in the garden along with the kind of vegetation that lived when they did. So Triceratops stands among the beans, cabbage, and flowering plants that made up his favorite salad. Pass the ranch dressing, please. When you come forward in the garden to the meat eaters like T-Rex, you'll find that he's also placed close to his favorite foods. Tourist family visiting from Ohio, for example. The flying reptiles like Pteranodon and Rhamphorhynchus can also be seen hanging around here. And then you come much further forward in time to the woolly mammoth, an Ice Age creature that lived 60 million years after the dinosaurs made their exit. Nice haircut. At Christmas time, the dinosaurs are decked out with lights. Kind of makes you feel sorry for those once proud noble creatures, doesn't it? Most people who visit dinosaur gardens want to know how these models came about. Well, since a couple of people have asked, we'll fill you in. When sculptor Elbert Porter completed this 18-foot Indian across the street, he decided he could take on a subject as big as dinosaurs. Scaled up from small models, the wooden framework was finished with a tough fiberglass covering. It took more than 15 years to complete the entire creature collection.
Believe me, I love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I'll do anything to get here. I'm gonna live here.
They're all 3 dinosaur fanatics.
The kids bring their parents, their grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc.
We're from Alaska.
But we have a lot of kids from all over the world.
They enjoy it a lot. I think it's really good for them, you know, because they have all these questions about them. They keep asking us how big they are, so now they can see.
Instead of just seeing little toys about this big. Believe me, it's a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
You can bet those little dino maniacs will be dragging their parents to the Quarry Visitors Center at Dinosaur National Monument, 20 miles east of Vernal. If you had to pick one showplace of dinosaur country, this would be it. It's a Jurassic burial ground where 2,000 bones are locked in a stone time capsule, 150 million years old. Geologic uplifting exposed this dinosaur death scene. The 200-foot wall displays the bones of hundreds of animals trapped in the flood of a long-ago river. The bones are left in place, just as deposited. From the observation deck, diagrams help visitors locate the bones of different species. Below are displays featuring the animals captured within the wall. While most were plant eaters, this meat-eating Allosaurus also met the same fate. Park ranger programs bring to life the story of what happened here for audiences of young and old. There's much more to see in Dinosaur National Monument than bones. Visitors can explore 325 square miles of spectacular canyon country sprawling across the border of Utah and Colorado, with scenic drives, wild rivers, camping, hiking, and fishing. This is a largely undiscovered gem of the national park system. Near the monument headquarters on the Colorado side, you'll pass through a little town that's so dino crazy, they changed the name of the place to Dinosaur, Colorado. Even the street names are prehistoric. It seems the folks of Dinosaur, Colorado and their neighbors in Vernal, Utah display the symptoms of a type of Mesozoic madness called prehysteria.
Everywhere you go, there's a dinosaur fascination. I ask myself, why are all these prehistorics sweeping the nation? They maybe look like dragons, but hey, these things were for real. creatures from some other world, and therein lies their appeal. Hallucination, you say, paranoia, no way, it's prehysteria.
Dinosaur builder Claude Bell had a philosophy. People will stop to see something big. These proved to be wise words in the desert town of Cabazon, California. Denny, as he's known, holds the world's record for large. He's made up of 150 tons of steel, concrete, and plaster, and took 10 years to build. Being larger than life, he's able to accommodate a gift shop inside, just filled with dino souvenirs. Denny's pal Rex is always smiling, ready for the hundreds of pictures that are taken of him every day. These oversized reptiles have made this a popular stop on Interstate 10 for families and truckers alike. If you were cruising along the Oregon coast and your kid spotted a T-Rex up ahead, there's no question about it. You'd stop. Now this seems the perfect location for a dinosaur park. A lush rainforest full of ferns and moss-covered trees. You expect to encounter something strange at every turn in the path. We asked dinosaur builder E.V. Nelson to tell us why he created Prehistoric Gardens. A dinosaur park. How did that happen?
How did it happen?
Yes.
Well, it really didn't just happen. It was done deliberately.
Why?
Well, I wanted to turn the tourist dollars into something that I could put in my pocket and spend.
Why dinosaurs?
Why dinosaurs? I had to build something to attract people who were interested in dinosaurs, as I was, and I decided to build life-size models in a natural setting. And that's what we have. This one is the Brachiosaurus. He's 86 feet long, 46 feet to the top of the head. Took about 2 years to construct it.
2 years?
Yeah, people were crazy. We have about 8.5 tons of steel framing inside. There's about an inch of concrete on the outside of the framework. And that, of course, is where we do the finished modeling.
And how do you cover something that big with scales?
Use that nasty stuff called hard work.
We were afraid you'd say that, E.V. What else can we see here?
Tell you what you do. You just walk around and talk to the beasties, because there's a sign at each one, and the sign will give you the basic information, and that's about all you need.
You left his dinosaur tracks. Dinosaur tracks in the ground. Dinosaur tracks in the ground to be found by you and me.
Look, there's one.
What's that, sweetheart?
Turtle.
Maybe she's a little young to read the signs.
Look. Look at that, Mom.
Oh my God. What is that?
Look.
Oh, a triceratops.
Look at that.
You left his dinosaur tracks. Dinosaur tracks in the ground. Dinosaur tracks in the ground to be found by you and me.
Oh, good. She found the turtle. For those interested, it's called an archelon.
Oh, look. They're eating something. They're eating something.
Kids sure love it here, right, E.V.?
We have no control over the kids. Fortunately, I wish we did many times. Some of the little monsters can be a real problem. Tramping down the ferns and kicking the paint loose.
But E.V.'s still young at heart. He felt the same way about dinosaurs when he was a kid.
I played with them when I was a child about 70 million years ago, give or take a few million.
Thank you, E.V. Nelson, for an enjoyable visit to Prehistoric Gardens. An hour's drive from Branson, Missouri, you'll find the world's largest prehistoric park. Welcome to Dinosaur World in the Ozarks of Arkansas. Here you can take a safari in the safety of your car on 2 miles of road past more than 100 life-size replicas. First, stock up on rations at the outfitting post. The natives seem friendly enough, as long as you don't forget to pay the entry fee. Proceed with caution. Don't make any quick moves that'll scare the animals. It's too late for this tourist, clutched in Kong's hand. Watch out! Watch out behind you! It's a big kitty with big teeth, and he looks like he hasn't missed any meals. Hey, let's escape across the swinging bridge to the picnic shelter until things calm down.
Going on a journey, way out on the sea, through a cloudy barrier, to a land of mystery,
where cliffs are craggy and the jungles are hot. But hey, I can't find it on this map that I got.
beyond the lost island that time forgot.
Prehistoric Eden, strangers ever seen, rumble in the jungle, where the beasts are big and mean. Watch where you step, there could be quicksand about, and vines that will grab and twist you inside out.
Beyond the lost island that time forgot.
Look out, there's a dinosaur hungry since time began.
And if T-Rex doesn't get you, then beware the beast that walks like a man.
Whoa, what a place that makes you want to shout. Help, get me home before my ammo runs out.
Beyond the lost island that time forgot.
Whew. After all that excitement, this is peaceful. This is serene. We're safe from predators here. Or are we? We've escaped to Dinosaur Gardens in Ossining, Michigan. Ossining, you know, right down the road from Alpena. There are no expressways in this part of northern Michigan. It's a place you have to search for. They found it. They're not afraid. A field trip to a prehistoric zoo.
A lot of young people come through here and are very excited about seeing something in place, life-size, that they read about in books.
Dinosaur Gardens was a personal vision of a sculptor who imagined this cedar swamp as a dinosaur's environment. Owner Frank McCourt worked with the artist.
Paul Domke spent 35 years of his life working from daylight to dusk to build concrete dinosaurs. His message, if there is a message to this park, is that the first chapter of Genesis could be true, and it could be that God created the world in 7 days, but they weren't calendar days. They were millions of years. And the whole theme of that is carried through this park. And he also believed that there could be some kind of a master plan that put all this together.
The dinosaurs were built by a unique process, by one man working alone.
Using a trowel, using a mud box, and using wire to construct these exhibits, which I think is an engineering marvel. There's no power equipment used to construct any of these, and some of them are 80 feet long.
You can imagine how his friends avoided him, afraid that Paul might rope them into giving up their weekend to work on his 10-ton Tyrannosaurus. Welcome to America's favorite prehistoric park home videos. This segment was sent in by Barbara from Double Tollgate, Virginia. We're at Dinosaur Land in Clark County in the historic Shenandoah Valley. The place began as a gift shop and just kept growing. The land is full of prehistoricals and other strange creatures, as well as some fellows we recognize. The epic battle was recently added. It's rated PG-13 for some violent content. Thanks, Barbara, for sending in your video of this very popular tourist destination. "80 miles north of Houston on Highway 59, you'll discover dinosaurs in the East Texas woods. These few acres of prehistoric fantasy belong to dinosaur dreamers Don and Yvonne Bean. Running a dinosaur park hasn't always been what they expected.
We didn't get quite as many people as I thought we would. I didn't know really exactly what to expect because I had never run a business before. It was our first time for anything like that, so we had to scratch our heads and figure out what to do from one time to the other.
We watched the traffic and thought we had an awful lot of traffic and could pull every other car off of that highway. Well, we got our dinosaur gardens in, and we're real proud of them, but we don't pull in every other car off of the highway.
This is Dimetrodon. You notice he has very vicious teeth. So he was a meat eater, and he skipped the vegetables and went straight to the meat.
We done a lot of library research before we started our garden because I wasn't very wise in the way of dinosaurs, so I had to learn.
Stegosaurus, our roofed lizard, he has the fins on his back that kept the big meat eaters from biting his back so bad.
And then I guess this one is next because they think he's sweet. She or whatever, the little girls like that one.
This is Elasmosaurus. He was here about 70 million years ago. And you know, he's got flippers instead of feet. He lived in the water.
These, this year they've been shunning these. I don't know why. I like that one.
Called him carving knife tooth. People break the teeth off. I don't know why they do it. I put those teeth in. Not a very good job.
We have a lot of fun with children. We have some that you never get through the garden because they're afraid and you just can't talk them in there. A child's imagination is so much more vivid than ours. If they can see these creatures walking down there, a lot of them come sailing back out. They've been caught all the way out to the car ready to leave. I've talked several through that just wouldn't go with their parents at all. And once you get them talked in, then they make trips around there real good. We're going to be here, I guess, until we get too old to walk down here and open the gates. That's our plans, anyway.
Kids design their own at this dinosaur park. The Jurupa Center in Southern California offers a unique chance to learn about dinosaurs firsthand. And hands can get pretty messy.
It looks like chocolate.
These creatures are covered with burlap soaked with glue. New groups come to repair the models and learn more about dinosaurs through the center's nature programs. Every Saturday, the public is invited to join a dinosaur nature walk to search for fossil specimens. These may not be the most accurate dinosaur models ever assembled, but that's hardly important to these junior paleontologists. Their work provides an opportunity for them to be close to the dinosaurs they love. And which one is the most popular? No competition there.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex hunter. Thrills and kills.
Big Bad Rex Big Bad Rex is on the prowl. He's the biggest, baddest hunter of his day. Big Bad Rex, mighty king of beast and fowl, and if you see him, better keep out of his way.
He's scarier than all the other dinosaurs, and I like scary stuff. When this dinosaur is a baby, he's just very like a playful puppy, but is really deadly when he's full grown or even half grown.
Big Bad Rex is on the prowl. He's the biggest, baddest hunter of his day. Big Bad Rex, mighty king of beast and fowl, and if you see him, better keep out of his way.
Accuracy in dinosaur parks seems to be, again, a more recent phenomenon. If you look at some of the older parks, they seem to be based on other older paintings they've seen, older figures. I think a lot of the parks are put on by people with a lot of good intentions, but without any real scientific background, and they really aren't that concerned with scientific accuracy. Now, though, a lot of the parks are.
Returning to the George Eccles Dinosaur Park in Ogden, Utah, installation of the Ceratosaurus is well underway.
We want authenticity. We want the most authentic replicas that you can find in the world that fit in an outdoor environment.
Bob Marquardt, head of the Dinosaur Development Committee, has watched his vision come to life.
We were developing 3.1 miles of parkway, and part of the theme that we had for our Ogden River Parkway was the history of the area. And we were aware that Utah had as many dinosaurs as anywhere in the world, and so this is a natural place to show them off.
During the frequent visits by school groups to the park, kids' enthusiasm for dinosaurs is translated easily into lessons about science and history.
Okay, Marissa's going to try on this one, okay?
The responsibility of delivering authentic dinosaurs fell to creature builders Tom Privat and Mike Hoffman. The process began at La Rayada, their dinosaur studio near Tucson, Arizona.
We start out with a model, a small model, usually 1 inch equals a foot or a ½ inch equals a foot. Then we scale it up to a armature stage, which is the steel and rebar. And then we go into the shooting of the concrete, which is the rough-in phase. And then we go on and apply the texture.
It was a long but satisfying day for a dinosaur builder.
Feel great. I can't feel any better. It's in.
The rugged landscape of southern Alberta is the heart of Canada's dinosaur country. The ancient animals and geology found here have been recreated in a unique Mesozoic theme park at the Calgary Zoo. A piece of land which once served as a zoo's parking lot has been developed into Prehistoric Park. In fact, it's a prehistoric wonderland. Or should we say Wanderland? Because you'll wander through 5 different habitats of the past that represent how the landscape of the region evolved during the Mesozoic era. The animals and plants change completely as you move from one habitat to another. The earliest of creatures are seen emerging from the ancient oceans. The inhabitants begin to look more familiar when you travel through the areas of swamplands, volcanoes, and mountain uplift, which represent later periods of time. And right in the middle of all this are the mysterious hoodoos, Mesozoic skyscrapers that can still be seen in the region. To some, they're unique geological formations. To others, a great place to hide and explore. At Prehistoric Park, you can use your imagination to project yourself into the daily life and activities of more than 24 ancient creatures. This Centrosaurus has just realized that he's been selected from the dessert tray by a nearby Tyrannosaurus. While grazing in a field of rhubarb, a 6-ton Stegosaurus ponders the meaning of life, and he's not getting any answers with a 2-ounce brain. Wow, there are so many different things to see here, it makes it hard to decide.
Hey, Dad, I want to go see the volcanoes. No, wait, the swampland. No, the ancient sea. Oh, I mean the hoodoos. No, the mountain uplift. The volcanoes, the swampland, the hoodoos. Oh.
It's hard to believe it's not real. It's all constructed. Remember, this was a parking lot. Once models and environments as authentic as these are produced, dinosaur fans have only one more request. Make them move. Moving animatronic dinosaurs, of a sort, made their debut at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair at an attraction called The World a Million Years Ago.
What you did is you went inside of a dome and were conveyed along a moving sidewalk past all these mechanical prehistoric animal figures. These creatures were all the forerunners of the Disney audio animatronics and the life-size prehistoric creatures now exhibited by the Dynamation Company. And if you didn't get too close and the lighting was just right, these were pretty impressive back in 1933.
Dinosaurs made another guest appearance at the New York World's Fair.
In 1964 at the World's Fair there were 2 major dinosaur exhibits. The first was put out by the Walt Disney Company, part of an exhibit called the Magic Skyway, and they had these life-size mechanical dinosaur figures, some of which are now featured at the park in Anaheim, Disneyland. Sinclair also had an exhibit called Sinclair's Dino Land. The dinosaurs were made by a company called Jonas Studios in upstate New York, and then they were floated on a barge down the Hudson River. What you're looking at here is the head of one of the figures, the original of which was featured at the World's Fair. This originally had an articulated lower jaw that opened and closed, and it was attached to about a 50-foot long body. This particular head was part of a figure that got struck by a lightning bolt, and the head got knocked off, and that's how I happened to come across it.
Likely story, Don. These pampered prehistorics are safe from the elements here in the first permanent home for animatronic dinosaurs. If this building reminds you more of a department store than a museum, it should. It was formerly a JCPenney's. The front windows now display not the latest spring fashions, but the latest in prehistoric paraphernalia. Here you can interact one-on-one with your dinosaur favorites. Look in on an active paleontology lab if you're interested in how bones of new discoveries are prepared. You can even make your own Pachycephalosaurus do tricks. Okay, sit up, roll over, play dead. Spectacular touring exhibits from such companies as Dynamation International Corporation, are now bringing more and more people into museums across the country. These dinosaur celebrities may be making a personal appearance near you. What appeared to be a captured tarbosaur, an Asian version of a T-Rex, recently fascinated shoppers at a mall in Burbank, California. The tarbosaur got his start at Creative Presentations in Valencia, California, where high-tech dinosaurs and other creatures are brought to life. This tarbosaur is undergoing a final checkout before delivery to a theme park in Las Vegas.
Lifelike. That's the secret of animatronics. If it doesn't appear lifelike, it's no good. Total believability. We want people to look at these when they see them and not be sure that they're not really real. These are state-of-the-art dinosaurs. I mean, they were created under the guidance of a paleontologist, so they're as accurate as can be.
Our animations are combining really advanced computer movements along with mechanics and hydraulics and pneumatics inside, right down to the skins and the textures and materials they use nowadays.
New technologies are coming along all the time. If we look at them 3 years from now, and I'm sure there'll be so many improvements in there that these will look crude to us at that time.
If we can get that sense of realism and more advanced movements and more liquid feeling to the characters, that's kind of the next step, to the point where you really can hardly distinguish them all from living characters or creatures.
Despite a high-tech future envisioned by creative people like these, there will always be fans of places like this. Dinosaur Haven, near Norwich, Connecticut.
Dinosaur Haven is old-fashioned. It's a garden. It's not about computers or electronic things or anything like that. It's family fun. It's a quiet statement. A real good thing about Dino Haven that you don't get in other places is that you're out walking in the woods. And although the animals aren't moving around and they aren't growling and burping and doing, things that we think dinosaurs did or sounded like, you get kind of the feeling of an animal in the woods in its environment, and you don't really get that in a museum, and that I like. This is my Stegosaurus Miles, and I made it sort of as an honor to a friend of mine. I made the face to look like his face, and I invited him over when it was finished, and I said, will you come over and look at my Stegosaurus? And he looked at it a long time. He said, I like it, but it really looks stupid. And I told him much later that it was a portrait of him. He's still my friend. This is my Tyrannosaurus Rex. I started it in 1987, and I estimate that it'll be done in 97. When I began, I had no idea how big it was going to be or how long it would take me to finish. It's for everybody. Anybody that likes art, and anybody that likes dinosaurs, and everybody likes weird stuff. I have weird stuff here too. So this ensemble is my family self-portrait as dinosaurs. Of course, this one is me, the colorful one. This one is my wife. These are two of my kids playing here, and this is a visiting cousin. We call her Cousin Emmy. I want to do more family groups. If I have a theme here at all, that's it, I guess. It's like that family kind of thing. Family fun, that's my theme. You're not a dinosaur. What are you doing here? This is my Catosaurus. I shoot from the heart. I want emotional impact. I want my people who come here and look to feel warm about dinosaurs, about families. This project is integrated with my family and my home, and it's all kind of woven into a fabric. Dinosaurs continue to hold my interest. You know, the animals are just cool. They're wonderful. They're nature's greatest hits.
Nature's greatest hits. Dinosaurs have given us plenty to look up to. They continue to fascinate us in their many forms and interpretations. They're out there, waiting to be found. Just follow those dinosaur tracks.
You left it. Dinosaur tracks. Dinosaur tracks in the ground. Dinosaur tracks in the ground to be found by you and me. You left it. Dinosaur tracks.